hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast. I'm Tim McGarry.
I'm Michael McDowell.
I'm Damon Quinn.
As you know, the Give My Head podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we chat to actors, writers, comedians, anybody we can think of, very important people. We have a couple of things to plug before we start this week. Perforated Ulster, I think we're at the best of. It's still, a lot of the episodes are still on BBC Sounds. Perforated Ulster, our sketch show on Radio Ulster, look that up. Give My Head piece. There's about 30 episodes on the iPlayer still, and we'll be making a new episode of Give My Head piece this Christmas. Very, very important, however, ladies and gentlemen. We're very excited that Give My Head piece podcast, after 40-something episodes, we have a live gig. We're going to be live in the Mandela Theatre. It's not the Mandela Theatre anymore. It's the Mandela Hall. The Mandela Hall. I think I helped name it the Mandela Hall. Did we help name it the Mandela Hall? It used to be McMurdy Hall in Queens. It's now the Mandela Hall at Queens. We will be doing Give My Head piece live on Sunday, the 12th of October, 2025. Tickets available now. You go on Glister, GLSTRR for your tickets now. It's going to be a fantastic night. Our first live performance. We're going to get some of the actors from Give My Head piece. We'll be reading bits and pieces. We'll have a few bits of stand-up. We'll have bits of surprises. We'll have all sorts of things. So get your tickets now for the Give My Head piece podcast live on the 12th of October.
I remember when you were a student.
Do you remember when I was a student?
We were all students.
That was a long time ago.
And that was called the McMurdy Hall then.
That's right, it was.
And there was one night you fell. You just collapsed onto the floor. We were out, I don't know, it was one of those nights, student day nights, and you just collapsed onto the floor. Are you going to do that when we're on? You want to repeat that, do you think?
That was a very long time ago when I was a student and couldn't drink. And
you were carried out of it.
It's no good at it. Speaking of drink, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have with us a man who many people in Northern Ireland will know as a very successful businessman, but he's probably most famous for something else. Ladies and gentlemen, we're delighted to have with us Mr. Peter Lavery. Peter Lavery, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome. How are you, sir?
Thanks, boys, for having me here in the first place.
Yeah, very, very welcome. Have you listened to our podcast before?
Well, one or two.
One or two, good on you.
And that's technical as you are, boys.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's not a Stephen Nolan interview. It's all right. It's a bit of crack. We're going to enjoy ourselves. You have been a very famous. It's almost 30 years now since you won the lottery?
Last week it was actually 29 years past, so I'm heading towards the big 30, which I can't believe myself. Wow. People give me 30 months to live. I thought I drunk myself to death, but I successfully didn't do it, but I nearly did.
You gave it a go.
I nearly drank Canada Dry, pulling it.
Just for some people, younger listeners and viewers might know, Peter Lavery, never heard of him. Peter Lavery is very famous for winning £10 million in the lottery in 1996, and it was a big deal in those days because the lottery had just started a year or two beforehand, and it was kind of. You were the first big local winner?
I think you were the first Northern Ireland one, weren't you?
I wasn't the first Northern Ireland one, but I was the biggest one for Northern Ireland at that stage. It was £10,248,233. I was better than the bus ticket, but yes, it cost a greyhound pound,
Right.
And,
£10,248,000.
£233. Unbelievable. It's just 29 years past our last week, as I said, and.
What age were you at the time when you won?
34.
See, I can count.
Good age.
You're older than us. Yes. Come on, get in. Not by much. Not by much.
Not by much. But winning the lottery, is something that we all dream about. Like everybody dreams about what I'll do if I win the lottery. But it actually happened with you. Talk us through that moment. When it happened.
Well, that particular day, I was actually City Bus had just extended their reach out to Twimbrook and different places to get there. I hadn't done. I knew where Twimbrook was, but hadn't been in and out. Twimbrook was 3 ways in, 3 ways out. And this is going to be a joke.
Explain, you're a bus driver.
I was a bus driver.
You're from the Strand, aren't you?
I'm from the Shore Strand. Well, the story about the buses is I drove a bus, was hijacked a bus, was robbed a bus, I was assaulted the bus. 16 months ago, got knocked down by the bus, as you know.
Yeah, I know, I've heard about it.
And I've made my final mind out when I kick a bucket, I'm going to go to Roselawn on the bus. So that's my. So buses have a lot to tell about my story, about my life, They were probably the happiest job I ever had in my life, truthful to be told. And even though the troubles were on, but we actually maybe prayed for bomb scares because the bomb scare came to Belfast. He took a load and never went back to Belfast again. That was the end of it. That was the story over.
Do you remember Werner Hoybeck?
Further Hoyback, I remember Further Hoyback very, very well. He's the MD at the time. It was at the time, but
it's a German guy who ran the city bus. Werner used to take bombs off buses, and they famously took a bomb off a bus.
He was a prisoner in the Second World War, but yes, he lifted bombs off buses. He is known to come into town and tell the driver to take a back seat, and he drove the bus up the route. He just want to say, like, anything you can do, I can do better. You know, and that was his way of thing. But he's a character in his own way. So he was, you know. Yeah. So
you're a bus man. You're from a short strand. You're earning not very much. Well,
at the end of 20 years ago, you're taking home about £300 a week, which is still that was fine, but an underpaid job for the responsibility you have. But here, as I said before, is the happiest job I ever had in my life. And yes, you win the lottery, you try to win the lottery, and you dream what you do, what you wouldn't do. And I done quarter of the dreams what I said I would do and what I wouldn't do, you know, because you do completely different things when you do get it. But
and did you always do the same numbers?
The week I won it was week 79, so it cost me £158 to win the lottery, because it was only a Saturday night lottery at that stage, as we all know. And they're on the same two lanes every week, and that's what happened. And that Saturday went out to work as normal, done the twin breaks. Finished at 5 o'clock at night, and went to the bus drivers club. It used to be in May Street.
Down the stairs.
I was having a few jars for the man who was in charge of the club. He finished at 6 at night, so me and him stood and had a few jars, and that was it. And about 8:30 that night, I got a phone call from my ex-ex. Ex-ex now. So get right. And
your ex-ex.
And she said to me, "You've won the lottery." And me and her had an argument that morning. I says, "Me and you's not talking, put the phone down, back to the bar, start drinking again." About 9 o'clock at night again, 9:30, right. My back says, "Will you listen to me? You won the lottery." She says, "You listen to me? Me and you still not talking, put the phone down again." So I left the bus driver club, I went to Garrick Bar, used to be Brown's Restaurant in Chester Street. Then I went to the old kitchen bar at the time, and I went to Monaco Bar, and I left the Monaco Bar and I went to McHugh's. I just bought over by Jaws Mooney at the time, and before he had renovated it. And then I had 2 drinks there and ordered a taxi. I couldn't get a taxi to go home, back to Short Strand. So I walked it back to Short Strand, and halfway across the Queen's Bridge, a taxi nearly run me over. So I nearly never seen it.
Right.
And I went home to my family home, and I went to bed. I never thought another thing about it. And
you were still fighting with your partner at this time?
So I wake up the next morning, do you think, what did I do last night or what did I do last night? And
something about the lottery.
I think she said I won the lottery last night. So I went downstairs and I put the TV on, table teletext days, you know. Yeah. I lifted an old ticket from the top of the urban 6 numbers across the lane. And it says, one lucky ticket holder wins £10,248,233. Well, I hadn't got the ticket. My ex-ex didn't have it either, you know.
Where was it?
My sister had it. But she done it with the shopping every week at the time, so that was all right. So I up his bed, up the room, and I says, "Kathleen, gee, remember I won the lottery." She says, "Peter, I was at that wedding last yesterday. Get out of this room." So out of the room, back in the bed again, closed my eyes. Half an hour later, downstairs again. Left that same old ticket, put the TV on, there's my 6 numbers still face me. Happy days, you know. So up the stairs again, I said, "Kathleen, will you listen to me? I've won the lottery." And she lifted her head off the pillow. She opened her purse, gave me my ticket, put her purse back in her bag again, went back to sleep. I went downstairs with a real ticket, holding it, thinking it was going to change. Up the stairs again, I go, my brother Sean. I said, "Sean, I've won the lottery." And he had just lost his job that week. And he says, "You're one sick, you know it." And so me and him go down the stairs, and I sit with my back to the TV, and I read the numbers out to give him a ticket, so he looks at it. So up the stairs again, he said, "Kathleen, 3rd time lucky here." But Daphne won, so the 2 of us, she came down the stairs, the 3 of us sat on the settee, looking at the TV. Right. Thinking these numbers were going to change, you know. Yeah. Disbelief, you know.
Or something, yeah.
And I remember going to work later on that day, you know, so I had to ring Camelot, so it cost me £50 to ring 192. 192. So the 192 number come up, and away she went down the hill, and got got the number, and rang Camelot. Was an answer machine. Welcome to Camelot PLC. If you have 4 numbers, if so, say yes, please. Me, yes, please. If you have 5 numbers, if so, say yes, please. Me, yes, please. If you have 5 numbers, if so, say yes, please. Me, yes, please. If you have 6 numbers, if so, say yes, please. Me, yes, please, please, please. And eventually a voice comes on because apparently they get so many prank calls.
Right, okay.
And real voice, real hello, my name's where you fully from Belfast. Once I said Belfast, they knew right away because they knew from about 5:08 that night.
Were
Day
the
before,
sold?
we were sold in Northern Ireland. Were sold at the Park Centre, the Donegal Road. Or there used to be Westway stores in Donegal Road. Spots were bought. So spoke to the girl there on the phone. Don't answer the phone to anyone. This one, this, not the other thing. Or the manager's going to phone you, and that was okay. So 2 months later, the phone rings again. My name's Eileen Smith. I'm the regional manager of Camelot. Where were you all night? I was in bed full. So she was sitting from 8:05 the night before, waiting on a phone call coming here, you know. So she says, I can't come and speak to you because you've won more than 10 million. We have another advisor on route from London to Belfast now.
Right.
I'm picking up at the Leicester Airport at 1 o'clock. I'll be at your house at 1:30 in Short Strand. That'd be no problem. I says, no point coming at 1 o'clock. She says, why? Because I'm going to work.
Driving a bus.
He says, what? She says, do you realise? I says, I think so. And he says, I'll not be home till 3:30. So I went that day and done 2 leg and side tours because I already had accepted the shifts.
Right.
So I went to work that morning.
You went to work
and Sunday morning with a ticket in my pocket in the depot, got the bus.
Did you tell the lads?
No, that's what happened. This is what happened. So I got the bus anyhow, and I said to the inspector, "You give me a bank holiday form for tomorrow." And I said in this form, "I beg you for leave." So I wrote on personal, 1 day only, and said to the driver next to me, he says, "Where are we on tomorrow?" Walter, he says, the inspector turned around and said to me, "Excuse me," he says, "I'm an inspector. I give out overtime." And I says, "Give your mouth a headpiece, or would you know?" And that was all right. And then I walked out to the driver and I says, "This is my last day anyway. I just won the lottery." So where I went anyhow. But what I didn't realise was my ex had told everybody I won it. And I didn't realise.
You're saying that rumours go around the Short Strand quite quickly?
Like wildfire.
Nobody keeps a secret in the Short Strand.
Like wildfire. And I'm doing these 2 tours. So I've done the first tour and then got a wee cup of tea. Said myself, an hour and a half to go, that's me finished, you know. So all the way round, start driving the bus the second tour round, and their nerves start to go. What's this really mean? What's it not mean? And my leg, kept looking at my leg, thought my legs would fall off the ticket in my pocket, you know. And
kept checking you still have it.
Still doing that there. And next minute, I'm driving the bus back in the Clarendon Dock. So I really drove us ramp 2.5 hours earlier. Second time round, didn't see the ramp. The bus bounced off it. You must not see a ramp, to tell you the truth, I didn't. This is my last journey. It's usually my last passengers here. And staying the Doggett back over to Short Strand Depot, the bus, bring the bus in for the last time, you know. I put the bus through the wash, and I drove the bus around the yard and brought in the fuel bay. At this stage, I didn't realise everybody knew about it. Even the media knew about it, and the media up and down. They was on the Lisburn Road. They were up and down Lisburn Road trying to catch me drive the bus. And as I drove the bus into the fuel bay, I put the handbrake on and turned the engine off to get the bus fueled, and took a tachograph out and was filling in the numbers. The shunter said, "Peter, there's rumours on around here you've won the lottery." I said, "It's fact, park this bus." I walked down the office, and there's the inspectors standing there, and the 2 of them are standing there, clubs are standing. "There's rumours on around you've won the lottery." There's rumours. I says, "It's not rumour, it's fact, you know." He says, "What did you win?" I says, "If I was you, take a seat because I want you falling, you know." And he sat down and he says, "What did you win? What did you win?" I says, "Do you really want to know, George?" I says, "I've won £10,248,233. Now, see that bank holiday form I'll give you for tomorrow? You must realise I'm not coming back." So that was my last day driving buses.
Wow. And would you see the publicity stuff? Did you sign the no publicity thing, or you just accepted it, or?
But how could you? Well, at that stage, how could you hit it?
Yeah, well, not in the Short Strand, you couldn't have.
No, like, how could you hit it? I mean, and it was big enough thing, but I have to say, they said this is a big amount of money. It's going to change your life. You're all of a sudden you're not going to drive. You're not driving the bus no more.
Yeah.
Bought a house down Culture. Like, you think I left George John in 1986. House for £22,000.
Yeah.
I buy a house down in Craigavon for £180,000. You know, like 10 times, 8, 9 times the price.
Yeah.
Somebody told me 10 years later the house in Short Strong were £200,000. I said you're way in the head. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you would never believed it. You'll never believed it.
Yeah.
But how do all of a sudden they just give a £300 job up and you're driving a couple of these cars and you're buying a house down there? You're doing one or two things. You're selling the wacky tobacco or you're doing something else, you know. But so it's probably the best thing to do that happened. You know.
Right. You couldn't have. Could you have stayed in the Short Strand if you wanted to?
Well, my family's still in the Short Strand. I have
Yeah.
to say to him, the people of Short Strand, it's my home. It's still class. It's my home.
Yeah.
My sister still lives in the same house. My brother lives there. Nobody's ever barred them whatsoever. As I worked across community business, you know, and I put a few pound in the community centre stuff like that there. So nobody has ever said a bad word to me. So
Right.
obviously.
Well, you see, we'll talk about the nice bits because there's loads of nice bits about. But I thought there were a couple of things that you go. A couple of people are going to be very jealous and nasty. You can go, figure Peter Lavery's richer than me, or B, people are going to go. Did your sexual attractiveness suddenly increase in the area? Did you?
I haven't sobered the time I've been different kind of face, you know. Like as I said, I nearly drank Canada Dry, and it was like, it's just a change. It's just unbelievable. Like, you think I took myself off for free? Like Camelot at that time says you have to get yourself out of Belfast for at least 3 to 4 weeks here. Get yourself out of. So you think
that was their advice.
Well, the advice it was probably good advice, you know. Yeah. So the first holiday I took 14 people with me. The first holiday cost 90 grand. Like, well, it took me work 5 years to get 90 grand. Like, then you think of it, it was just unbelievable. I'm driving the bus around Belfast on Sunday. I'm landing in the middle of St. Lucia at a seaview apartment. Look at the door. I couldn't believe it. Like 72 hours later, like this is dream world. Yeah. You're going to sleep. I didn't sleep. I remember the girl said to me, who was paying me the check on the Monday, and said to me, "What's your tipple?" I said, "Vodka." And I remember going to collect the money, which is, you think you've got the piece of paper in your hand, and it's going to be, it's going to be things. So I go in that Monday morning.
It's not that big a check, is it?
Oh,
you have to bring that huge check into.
It's the first time I seen a check getting cleared in 7 seconds in my life. You heard what I said? See when I tell you it takes 7 days to clear a check.
Yeah.
I had a bank manager came to me that morning who I had done a bit of cross community work with. And he says, "Can I help you in any way?" I says, "Oh, come ahead then." And I gave him the check. But before I got to tell the check, I'd done the check. So then that Monday morning, my family's all up with me, my brothers, my sisters, and I'm in, and next thing they bring me in this wee room, and she filled the form out, and the ticket's yours, there's nobody else's, and all this here. Yeah. Next she says, "Give me the ticket," and I give her the ticket, and she puts the ticket across a barcode, and next minute, the duplicate comes out. She says, "Peter Lavery, you're a multi-millionaire." That's the time I hit the deck. That's the thing hit me. But I was drinking vodka that day. I got to tell you this here now. I was like drinking soda water. The adrenaline was so high. Yeah, right. I say that day I drank a couple of bottles of vodka or couldn't get drunk. That's reality. That's because the adrenaline was just so immense. So once I'd done that there, and then my family came in their room, and tears everywhere, so tears of happiness. And my brother, my oldest brother, who's now dead, which is it was just a whole family attraction. My father had died 14 months earlier, and if you ask me anything out of it all, I wish my parents had seen it. Yeah. And that's my mother was longer dead last December, and the 18th of December passed. She was longer dead than alive. She was 45 years of age. She died. You know, and I can honestly say I never wanted in my life, but my mother paid dear to get it for us. No, so we never really. My father and mother were just working class people. We lived in our granny's house and all that there. So we're close family. Yeah. And so if you ask me anything, my mother and father were beside me. If that's the only thing, if that's the biggest regret I ever won the lottery, was not having my parents. That's and my older brother and I passed away. He'd be 8 years dead coming here in June, and he was a character, you know, and things. So when I got the check that day and the tears everywhere, and I give the check to a bank manager, and I said to him, "He lives in this town here, by the way," and I said to him, and Cameron would tell me, "You have to get out of the country now, and you have to do this now, and you have to do this now." And And I said, well, what am I going to do? I want to give them all a cup of bob before I go here, you know. And I said to the bank manager, I says, right, he said, you can help me here? He says, can I? says, well, get me £100,000 sterling and 50,000 punts.
Right.
And I can guarantee he worked it, because their offices was Lombard Street and the bank was downstairs.
Right, you want this in cash?
I want to say that because the way we're going to transfer money, you'd
Right, you were gonna hand out money to people.
you'd know online banking at that stage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just said, Brian, as we'll do is until I get back.
Right.
And I went to Dublin. Then the next day, there was phone call after phone call. Where you going next? And where you need to go here? So I said, send me anywhere. At that stage, I didn't care where I was going, and they picked Seleucia and everything else, and about 14 people, like club class out to Seleucia, and the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like 72 hours, 48 hours later, I'm driving the bus around Belfast. It is dreamland. There's no point saying it's not dreamland. It is dreamland.
What were the numbers on the ticket?
4, 12, 13, 33, 40, and 46.
Why were those numbers?
Birthdays and everything else. You know, so, but so it was a big thing. So I remember, so we flew to Dublin, or I drove to Dublin, or got the train to Dublin, stayed overnight with my brothers, went to, next day, flew me to Camlip, we're doing all the arrangements, so they're trying to get the decoy away from the media, so they flew me Dublin to Luton, and a chauffeur picked me to Luton, brought me to Gatwick Airport, and the rooms booked, they had everything all.
So you had a decoy?
They had a decoy, they decoyed, because their thing, so I was alright, so get the.
But you were like Saddam Hussein, Nick. You had doubles, did you?
Doubles. But the day they brought me round to Europa from Lombard Street, and the taxis all sitting in Bridge Street, and there must have about 12 security men around me. So I walked out of Lombard Street, and everybody around me, because obviously they're trying to get the promotion of it for the lottery, and everybody around me. So next minute the door as taxi door opens, and there's balloons outside. And I got in, they put balloons on the other side. So they didn't want nobody, then they drove me in the back door of the Europa, because they wanted the press release to be the first to see all this here, you know. And that's what happened there. So when I got the Luton, then chauffeur to Gatwick, and stayed in Gatwick Airport all night. And then next morning, got on the plane. And I got on the plane next morning. And that's the big jumbo jet, and big row of newspapers there. And every photograph of the newspaper was me. And I put my head down. Jesus Christ, this is. And I put my head down, and I go up and I right up into the club class, and sitting down next minute, the air hostess was walking up and down, and she came over and says, "That's you." Like, so really? That's you. And next minute, the cabin, before he took off to Barbados, he came out and shook my hand, congratulations, bottle of champagne. It's unbelievable. But that stage, the adrenaline still pumping. I say I never slept for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just adrenaline, because you're waking up in the middle of the night to say, "Was this really happening here?" It was happening. Like, so.
But you had good people around you. You had your family and stuff like that, and
that's the most important part of it, you know. And then I come back, as you know, I'd done the charity work all my life, and then I had the pastors' parties every Christmas for the first 10 years of it. You know what I mean? And
how do you spend 10 million? Is it hard to spend it, or is it easy to spend it?
What happens? I told you with the bank 20. But Molly was. It was nice to get. Well, I've lived for 29 years. I've seen the globe. I've started business. I've got bits of property and everything else. And I looked after my family. I looked after. I've done charity work. I give probably £2 million over the last 20 years to my charities. And I've no regrets. There are certain times in 2007 and 2008 that we saw I had it in my pocket again. That the property price went like that. You know.
Yeah.
When you see that richest man in Ireland lost everything, it could happen as easy as it could happen. There's poor people. Working class years of Belfast, Shankill Falls, you name it, bought houses £200,000, now worth £140,000. They're still paying the penalty for it. So you scale that up to people who had bought. There's people bought shopping centres on a Monday and they're devalued by 20 million on Tuesday. And that's as simple as that. So I was in at the middle of that there, but it's been good to me. And there's times been tough. There's times no point there. Building a whiskey distillery is not as simple as just building a whiskey distillery. Yes, I brought people in behind me and stuff like that there, but I suppose to get up tomorrow morning to do nothing. If I had nothing to do, like, I could have a bus on Monday. I'm back in the town on Friday. My wife near blew a fuse. She said, "What the hell are you playing at? But I had to get out of the house because the more I sat in the house, the more I fought this bus. It wasn't the bus that hit me. It's a pink ball coming down on top of me.
Oh, right.
So it wasn't the bus.
The bus act. Is this a couple of years ago?
It's about 18 months old. It was October, 3rd of October 2024.
That's right. You were near killed at the City Hall.
Back to City Hall.
It was in the morning, wasn't
It was about 10 past 10. I had more or less going around to meet James McGinn, but getting cocktails in the Europa. That's what I was going. So I had party if I was walking around towards Europa. But listen, 20 years ago, 22 years, I fell off the roof of the house. Say, what are you doing on the roof of the house? People say I was hiding my money. No, but I worked in the building game, so as a plumber by trade, we used to do lead flicing around chimneys and stuff like that there. But I like doing things myself. I think last week we were doing a lot of work at the house. We put 19 ton of stones in the back of the house. But that's a wee bit of a change from sitting down and talking. Tomorrow morning we have a board meeting with Titanic. That lasts us for 4.5 hours, and all you hear is, you know what I mean? So sometimes you need a release to do something. But
so what happened with the bus? Like, was it aiming for you, like, or did you just walk out in front of it?
Well, I wasn't walking in front of it. I had halfway across Donegal Square West, and he came from Donegal Square South, and he came round the corner, but it was electric, so number one didn't hear him. Number two, he came flying around the corner. He hit me, he caught me with a number plate, so it was right at the centre of the road, so that stuff was... but first I seen it was this, I guess here, was the first I heard that scene was the side of my eyes, and I wasn't a bus, it was like a pink wall coming at me, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden I'm out like a light, you know.
So it was a totally freak accident? I mean, just in the middle of the road? Like.
In the middle of the road, he came round the corner, I still, but believe it or not, I'm only going to make a statement about that next week. I haven't even spoken about it because I've tried to bury it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like I want to talk about it. I would talk to my solicitor about everything else. Where my solicitor's office maybe once a week, talk about different things. And I just said to him last week, believe it or not, he says, I'm ready to talk about it. But I wasn't ready to talk about it. It just, it was...
traumatic, I mean, it's...
Well, I never
near-death experiencing.
Well, I've had 2 near-death experiences, but sure, not. Yeah, I have a strong belief that you'll not die a second before your time. And that's my honest belief. There's been people get shot and blew up in the wrong place, wrong time. I come down. I've been many occasions where people shot for less. I mean, and that's reality. So I don't think you'll die a second before your time. Anyway, that's. I'm not a real religious person, but that's my belief. The man above wants you, he'll take it when he wants you, not before too.
You're not a religious person, but it's kind of a miracle winning the lottery, isn't it? It's kind of, or is it just you just think, well, that's, you know, it is you.
Well,
that's it. It just.
You know what?
What are the odds?
Well, the night I won, there was 33.5 million people in the lottery played that night. Except I won 33.3 million. You know what Bob Monkhouse said? And Bob Monkhouse says, he says, I know you're a sinner, but the man made you a winner, you know. But I had a pleasure meeting him over at the show about 4 weeks after I won it. I was on the show and they had you walking into the studio, on, off. Right. Oh, you're too fast, you're too slow, say yes. And I remember when we were at the show when we were there all day, setting up on, off, and out, say yes, come this way, go straight forward. So,
you see, it's hard being an actor and being on TV studio, you know that?
I'm telling you. So
you think it's easy?
So Bob said to me, do you drink, young Lavery? I said, I do. This time I did. So he said, come into my change room here, I hope you're not one of them boys, you know. And next minute, I didn't drink whiskey. That stage, he's drinking whiskey. It's like he had a half bottle of whiskey, and next minute, he opens 2 tins of coke, and he pours half the coke out. Then he pours whiskey into it. So me and him's running around the studio, drinking whiskey and coke, you know. Yeah. And that's what put me on the whiskey, Bob Monkhouse. And that's what we done the whole day. But he says, my first wife came from Belfast, You know? I says, all right, Bob? He says, my father-in-law was an old orange man. I says, all right, Bob? He says, and I remember walking down the Newton Ards Road. I says, yes. And he says, I'm walking down the very bottom of Newton Ards Road. And my father-in-law says, Bob, never drink over there. It was an old bar called the Britannia Bar in the Shores, John. He said, Bob, that's where I come from. You couldn't have written the script for it, you know.
You never would have thought you're driving a bus during the Troubles that you'd be sitting swilling whiskey with Bob Monkhouse.
No, you wouldn't, no. But the year
Did
before,
you get a lot of begging letters? Did you get mine? Because you didn't answer it. I mean, it's... You didn't. I mean, nothing. Did you get a lot? I mean, was there a lot of hassle of people going?
When I got back from the 5 weeks away, I was away for your 5 weeks, and the manager of the post office came to see me. And he said, "There's 11,500 letters."
Jeez, 11,500.
He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Return them to the centre." Because where do you start or where do you finish?
Where did you start?
But there'll be 11,500 and.
11,500.
11,500. But listen, there's been people been business people who would belly up and ring up and say you could buy us and do that there, you know. And
yes, there's lots of people going to double your money for you.
but want to come or my business is going bad, you buy into it and all that there. That's how I ended up with Danny Boy Whiskey because the man who owned it at the time and the man who had he's dead and buried now, but he's a gentleman, but he had registered Danny Boy. I used to tell him that was my first whiskey, Danny Boy. So I said it was whiskey with a voice, made your number one choice, you know. And he came to me, and what happened? How they end up registering Danny Boy whiskey was that they were all away at the World Cup rugby, and they're coming back, and they're landed in Japan with on their transfer plane, and the plane was delayed about 5-6 hours. What most Irish people do, go into the pub and get full, as you know, and they're all sitting in the middle of Japan airport, and next minute everybody starts singing Danny Boy. And he came back and registered Danny Boy whiskey, and that's how Danny Boy whiskey, thought of Danny Boy whiskey came from, and
you got 11,500 letters, which you wisely probably ignored. Probably would have been worse now with the internet and stuff. You would have even more, but there probably were people with sad stories and all that. But you can't engage in that. So you just then you must sit down then and go right, and you've been very generous with charity, but then you get into business, but. How did you get into business? Why did you decide to get into business? You not just sit with your 10 million and go,
Well, there's a soul year coming in the door there. I was 15 years off the drink there. My birthday, 4th of December. And I didn't go off drink because I wanted to go off drink. I enjoyed it. Nobody enjoyed a drink better as much as me.
Right.
And
too much though?
Well, that was the problem. It was when I took a drink, I didn't know when to stop.
Right.
It was like Magnus Magnum was started, so I'll finish, you know, and that's what happened. So I developed diabetes, and I was probably 2 weeks to 4 weeks away from having to inject myself for the rest of my life. And my GP, he'd been a personal friend of mine, so he sat down one day, he said, "Listen here," and that told his Dr. McKean, told his Henry, "Smell the coffee, it's going to be too late." And that was it.
Wow.
And that was
sorry, your lifestyle and because you're drinking every day, every night.
I didn't drink every day. I drank maybe twice a week, but when I drank twice a week, you only drank a month. And I know you can drink, Tim, but my problem is, you know, and but no, but all that I drank with a team of people in that Europa hotel. New mine's the night where mine's as a guest in Europa and never had a room, you know, that's what I got there. But no, I enjoyed a drink. I didn't see a point in having 5 or 6 drinks and going home. Once I took one, as me, Tom wasn't enough, one wasn't enough, and that's just enjoyed the crack, the banter, the
3 buttons, stop and go,
and we left the Europa maybe about 5:30 in the morning and got a taxi to Punk Rockers, you know? And that was the opening. So I didn't know when to go home. That was my problem, but I didn't care about to go to work next morning or not because. Right. I just at party just once to get that happy mood on me was happy, right. And well, one of he says, "Listen, if you could take 2 or 3 drinks, not do no harm." I said, "Well, there's no point me telling you any lies. I can't take 2 or 3 drinks." So it was better without it. Without it, and in 15 years, I've had 8, 9 one-day blowouts. I'm still a crazy asshole, and that's
still.
But touch wood, and I pray every day I don't take another drink. That's probably one of the prayers I don't want no more. I've had my day of it, enjoyed it, and I'm in the drink business now, and I like promoting it and stuff.
But that's quite tough to be able to do that. I mean, that takes a lot of a lot of willpower and stuff like that. Do you do AA or anything like that, or
no,
you just go?
No, I just went. Once I made my mind up, but that was it. I was finished. You know, I said that. Putting us here. I'm not going to knock down by a bus. I still don't want to die. And somebody gives you a red card and says this is a real consequence. You could lose your sight, you lose your leg, you lose your limbs, you lose this here. Either smell the coffee or take a chance. And as the doctor says to me, he says, it could happen today, could happen next week, could happen next month, could happen next year, could happen in 10 years. But one thing I'll tell you, he says, it will catch up with you. So what was the...
Right.
That was it. But here, it's probably the best thing ever happened in my life. And now I'm lucky I don't need it and enjoy it. I don't mind going out for something to eat. I don't like sit. If I was down the pump or down the distillery, and people drinking around me, I can walk around there. I have my head on working.
Yeah.
It gives you as if.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, why did you decide to get into making whiskey when you were a club drink?
I was always fascinated with whiskey and things like that there. And when I took that, the boys who owned the Donny Boy brand, they needed put more money into it to get it to where it was going to go to. And if I had bought in, they still no money to put into it. So I was going to have to put all the money into it anyway. So I just said, lads, doesn't really. And then they come back to me, if you don't buy us off us, or that policy says, I understand what you're saying, and you're right. He says, we've got our house on the line here for this company. So I took a company off them and saved their houses, and it was a good day for them. But whiskey wasn't as sexy as it is today. You know, it's the younger generation drinking whiskey is unbelievable. The Globes drinking whiskey, the Indians, you know, the only thing can't get the cowboys into it yet, you know. But the Indians drink it like they can drink it like firewater, you know. So it's been a journey. It's been an education. I'm fascinated how it's made, and like probably the biggest thing of it all. It was nice, but I was able to create the first whiskey distillery in Belfast in 87 years.
And that's
in Titanic.
Titanic. Yeah.
And I was actually off in criminal jail. There's a terrible stories out there. They sold that on and everything else. But you see, the 21st of December next year, 26, the first whiskey out of Belfast will be created, and that was nice. I beat everybody else the tune of it, and
because there used to be there used to be a lot of whiskey in Belfast.
There's more whiskey distilleries in Belfast. There's more whiskey distilleries in Belfast than anywhere in Ireland.
Dunville and all that.
Dunvilles, McConnells, you name it. But there's more whiskey distilleries in Belfast than anywhere in Ireland.
Is that right?
And yours is called Titanic.
Ours is called Titanic.
Titanic whiskey. You brought some, didn't you? Yeah.
I did.
You have indeed. There you go. Look at that.
Many balls.
Titanic whiskey. Oh, there's one or two.
There's one vodka. There's one vodka.
Oh, there's a vodka. All right.
Can we just say to future guests on the Give My Head podcast, bring gifts. You'll be very well accepted. We had Leanne McCooey brought us buns. We had Bernadette Brown who brought us a very, very lovely Give My Head piece coaster with our. But Peter, you're selling yourself here, mate. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And do you make vodka as well?
We make vodka as well.
Right.
And
so how long does it take to set up a still to get this out? I mean, how many years are you waiting for that?
Well, from start to finish, getting in the whiskey distillery, building Titanic Distillery is the old pump house where Titanic actually set sail from the Thompson dock. So and what we've been able to do is been able to preserve the whole building.
Oh wow!
Never moved anything whatsoever. It's only found there from 1909, still sitting there. And we created and built it round, built a floating floor on. So our whiskey is a floating distillery, you know. And,
excellent.
And it's the building exactly the same as we took it over, you know. So you need to do some interaction. You can't old buildings will come with maybe no use at all.
Yeah.
And so between going getting planning permission for it, and you're dealing with heritage, you're dealing with monuments, you're dealing with already planners. So one that there don't talk to them as they don't talk to them, and you know. So it's like Mickey Marty's ready to around about 100 times before you get somewhere with it, you know. And but eventually we got about 2.5 years after all the negotiations to get it, and we got plan permission. Then COVID came in the middle of it, and then inflation came and put the bill cost up by about 8% and 10-12% maybe, and but we got there in the end, but we opened the doors there just under 2 years. It was over 2 years now, you know. So it's been going. It's taken time to build the brand, to get people back know where it is. I know we're sitting beside the biggest tourist attraction in Northern Ireland, the Titanic Belfast, but we're still at half a mile away from it. So it's getting the people that the bar to come down and see it, you know. But we're making progress, which is good, you know.
Brilliant.
I've been in the pump. I did a gig in the pump house. It's obviously before you put a big
Yes.
Still in it.
3 stills, never really won 3. 3 stills in it.
There's 3 stills in it.
Well, you're triple the installation.
And there's a lot more happening. Is there one in the criminal jail? I was doing a
It is.
gig as well somewhere down the Irish. Ecklandville?
Actonville.
Ecklandville, yeah, they've got their own.
They own the Dunville brand, that's right. You know,
Right.
no, it's good. I think it's good. The more whiskey distilleries, the
Yeah.
better. Like, put like this here,
They're
people
not
go...
rivals, it's all working together to sell
Well,
Irish
I
whiskey.
get you just to lean forward a little bit. You're almost out of shot.
You're... I think trade's healthy when you more somebody going against you, stuff like that there. But I also think that Scotland, there's people from around the world travel to Scotland, and all they do is tour whiskey distilleries.
Yeah.
So the more whiskey distilleries they do in Belfast, more people will come. Hopefully, more tourists will come and all that there. So I think it's good to be part of it. You know.
And is this like blended 3 times, like Irish whiskey?
So all Irish whiskey is all treble distilled in Scotland. You need double distilled in Scotland, and the thing. But and ours made a bit of the old Belfast style. And why I would say the Belfast style because Belfast is known for its smoky environment. You had the aircraft factory, the shipyard, the roadworks, all the mills, the Sirocco works. They all had big, massive chimneys coming out of them and smoke, and they all went back to their wee houses. And what had chimney wee coal fires in them. So there's 10% peat in it there. So if you go home at night, there's 10% peat in it, and there's 15% ordinary bourbon and 3% sherry. So it's for a blended whiskey, there's 28% of malt in it. So it's good. It's good, and you get the wee taste of the peat in it, and then the sherry sweetens up a wee bit. You know, so.
Well,
We're not going to open a bottle now, are we?
No, better already.
That'd be a different programme, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
10 to 12. No, we're not. No.
Certainly later on.
What are you most proud of in the 29, 30 years that you've done? I mean, I think that the fact that you're able to cope and not go a bit mad, which some people have done. You know, some lottery winners have gone crazy and stuff like that. Some have just been anonymous and you've never heard of them again. But you're still quite public. You've got businesses and stuff like that. What are you most proud of? Is it the philanthropy? Is it the businesses? Is it surviving?
Probably still been here.
Yeah.
Well, the story I didn't tell you is one of the first time I met my wife. I was in bed, you know, and I was a patient, she was a nurse, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
I only got married. I'm only 10 years married there, so we got married late in life, you know, but better late than never, so to say. But I hadn't fell for her, I've been still single, you know, so I hadn't fell off the roof, I've been still single, you know. So but I just enjoy. I do enjoy life. I enjoy I've no regrets of anything I've done. Did I enjoy a drink? Certainly enjoyed the drink. Enjoyed the crack. Enjoyed the banter. Enjoyed everything else. But it's just I don't like getting old. That's it. I don't like getting old. You know.
Yeah,
And
tell us about it.
and you know, it's
Happens
hard-
overnight.
No, but that's like, you know, think of it, like I can tell you now that 29 years is like a flash. It's a flash, you know. Well, it's 11 years in the buses before. There's 40 years of my life. It's just like it's like yesterday. You know, I can remember things that happened so clearly.
1996.
96.
Yeah,
So
I
what?
think we just done 2 ceasefires.
We did hadn't. Oh, we had done. Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
did. We went full time in 1986.
Yeah.
Well, I went. I was in the White House in 1985. I was one of 40 community workers getting invited to the White House to Time Paisley and McGuinness and Rob Means all. So I've seen things. I've probably been lucky. I've been able to see the globe. What I have seen, certainly went on holidays, but I've never had the dice to go and do what I've done on. I mean, but still enjoy a couple of holidays a year. That's the head of it. I mean, but enjoy cruising more than anything else. I like going around, like a couple of days at sea, just look around you, snap but water. You know, it's just something relaxing about it. You know.
So you did community work before you won the lottery in '95.
Yes.
What were you just
As the
communities?
first Catholic chairman of East Belfast Community Development Agency in the 1980s, I was chairman of Smavish Community Association for 15 years before that. So I've been in the community business well on that there time, you know. But that's why the peace process means an awful lot to me. The things hadn't changed, where would we be today? Like young kids wouldn't have the opportunities they've got
we
today.
wouldn't have had a career.
No, but that's true too. No, but
No, only benefits, you know what I mean. But yeah.
No, but when I think of you, I have a couple of young people from Albert. I have 4 staff down in our distillery, and 2 from the Short Straw and 2 from the Albert Bridge Road. You couldn't tell me who's who.
Yeah.
And they're like at together,
Yeah.
and they're out and they socialise together. They go into each other's houses. So if people are given half a chance, all they need. And I think the sooner we can get more people from these working class areas of England, the better. And more importantly, give them a future, give them a life, give them a few bob in their pockets, and I think that'll certainly change the whole society. You know, that's why be part of it in any shape or form. I think it's good. You know.
Can I just ask you, do you still buy lottery tickets?
I'm going to give you an answer. You didn't like it. I can't confirm or deny. So take it if it's for what you want.
You wouldn't want to come in and buy one with me and just your luck might just
Well, come here and play some that
pass on.
like it's going towards £200 million now, so it's up to yourself. Yeah.
The Euro millions.
Yeah, 200 million.
200 million.
You going to win that today, Tim?
Well, I don't know.
And would you be backed in a podcast if you were?
You wouldn't even say, I wouldn't even, the mic wouldn't even have Philly. Dan would be going, we're winding up this podcast. I'd be out on the, you wouldn't hear, a hole in the what? Never heard of them. I'm away.
What? You still wouldn't come on tour?
No, I will not be doing
You still wouldn't do Cookstown.
I will not be doing the Ali
wouldn't play
Theatre
the
Japan if I
people
win the
of
lottery. Damon who? Michael, never heard of you.
All those good people of Cookstown who loyally buy a ticket to come and see us every year.
You can invest in their own little gang limited. as well.
You must be joking. That's a business going down the tubes. We met a man who became very, very wealthy all of a sudden, and we said to him, do you get the chance to say to various people who you've hated during life, fuck you, and and the ship you came in on? And he said it doesn't quite work like that. He said when you win a lot of money or get a lot of money for various reasons, that relationships just change. People who you thought they didn't like you suddenly become or disappear from your life. Is that the way it worked with you, or did people kind of?
Probably the early days, Tom was so drunk I didn't see it. So maybe it's still a good job I was on the drink at that time, you know. So, but no, listen, I've met English people who won the lottery. Mm-hmm. I know English people who hadn't told their brothers or sisters they won the lottery.
Oh, right.
And it's actually made them more miserable, more than else, because they're scared to spend it. They were scared to go and buy a new car. And they kept on working on a job at £16,000 a year and paying massive tax on it. So I don't know why they played it for in the first place, not to change their lives. But
Yeah.
Well, a mate of mine became a millionaire, right? But he didn't win a lottery. He was a lawyer, but he became a millionaire. And he told me that he had about 4 or 5 million. But what he found amusing was that he started to move in different circles, of course, because he had 4 or 5 million. But he says people who had 10 million looked down on him for having 4 million, and the ones who had the 10 million were getting looked down on by the ones who had the 20 million and the 40 million. I mean, is there ever enough for some people? Like,
no, well, that's what it is. But people say to me, well, why do you keep working? I say, it's because I enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah.
and what would I do myself in the mornings if I had nothing to do? You know, you only walk so many miles a day. I try to do a bit of walking, and you try, but you only go so many meals, you only go on so many holidays.
Yeah.
Life would get very, very boring if you didn't have something. I went to town 3-4 times a week and I meet another legend, pulls pints. He's still pulling pints. Jerry Vernon, 78 years of age, pulls pints in the kitchen bar.
Right.
And a legend. And
He
I
loves
meet
it.
and I meet Jerry every Thursday, Friday morning at 9 o'clock for a cup of tea. Then he goes round to work at 10 o'clock, and I go around to John Bill's. I bring him and his partner Rosie a cup of tea, and John gets a coffee next door. He likes our coffee next door. But
John Bittle's the legend that is.
the legend he is. But John again, he's been anything that always promotes the drink for do anything. He's been decent. So we've been John and his partner and my wife go out for meals together. But so go around to John's every Thursday, Friday morning for half an hour, and the crack on it. This is before the bar opens. This is the sobriety bar.
Right.
The sobriety bar. This stage, you know. But
All cups of tea all round.
cups of tea. I drink more tea now. I drink everything else, you know. But
Yeah. I was going to say John Bittle's son Rory. Rory's a big fan of ours. Rory's probably listening to this. As you say hello to Rory Bittles.
Hello, Rory. How you doing?
How are you doing,
Hey,
Rory?
that's a character you should actually have him on here to tell you about the paint the black stuff. You know what I mean?
With John Bittles. Yeah, John, who's likes to court some controversy, doesn't he? He likes to throw people out of his bar.
No
for
coke here. They don't say no poison, no coke here.
Peter, thank you very much for coming on. We've run out of time. Genuinely, I thought, I know Peter will be able to chat away and stuff. We've certainly got half an hour, 30. We've done nearly an hour here, mate.
Thank you.
Are you enjoying yourself?
I did, and thank you for having me anyway.
No,
Thank you,
really
man.
appreciate you coming on. And not just because we were after your whiskey, but we would like to tell people, support your local industry, support Titanic and all our local distillers, indeed. All our local
It's nearly
Yes,
12
all-
o'clock. We could actually open one of those bottles, but we have another guest to do, so probably not a good idea. But certainly later on.
Peter, thank you very much for being a guest on the Give My Head podcast. Viewers and listeners, if you like the podcast, like, support, and subscribe. And do not forget that we're doing our first live podcast live in the Mandela Theatre in the Queen's University on the Mandela Hall.
Mandela Theatre. It's because we did
it Mandela Theatre in Edinburgh a long time ago. Sorry, Mandela Hall, Sunday the 12th of October. Get your tickets now to see Give My Head Piece live. In the meantime, Peter Lavery, thank you very, very much. Peter.
Thank you. Thank you.